This is a 1996 Ford F-350, the 351 Windsor, 5.8 liter gas motor. It is a 2x4, so it does not have four-wheel drive. It's been about a year since I posted. Everything is just, with inflation, is just costing a whole lot more money, and to go and get them trucks, it's about a 24 to 28 hour drive depending on the weather. And there's been a lot of bad weather over in that area this year, so this is what we have. But that's all right, because this will be a video comparing what people consider a classic now and what they will consider a classic years from now. So this vehicle has no emissions on it whatsoever, not like your vehicles nowadays. This one also, if you have one with a 7.3 liter diesel and it's a four-wheel drive and a 5-speed manual, you're looking at like a $15,000-$20,000 truck, depending on what kind of shape the body is in. They have gone up extremely high in price over the last couple of years, and not just because of inflation. They had a lot of value before that, but once inflation comes back down, if it ever does, those trucks are still going to hold their value. It won't be as high, but it'll still be high compared to other vehicles out there, just because of the versatility of them. You have a 4-door cab that you can haul 6 people around, no problem. 5 people that are bigger, my size, and you have the 8-foot box on the back that you can use for work every single day. So that kind of sets it apart from like your classic car collectors, where the Mustangs, the Corvettes, the Porsches, all those kind of cars, they all come and go in their fad, if you want to call it, or in their value. They go up for a while, then they go down, then they go up. These trucks will go down just a little bit, but they will always hold their value. Like I said, if you have one with a 7.3 diesel in it, you're pretty lucky, because they're getting harder and harder to come by, especially ones that are in good shape. I'm up in Wisconsin, and you can't find them hardly anywhere at all that are in decent shape, and if you do, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for them. So this one here does not have much wrong with the body at all, what I consider not to be much. It just has a little bit of rust right there, a small spot right there, one here, and then a hole in the back of the box. For Wisconsin, that's very minimal. Like I said, this truck was from Minnesota, and they do the same thing there as what they do here. When it becomes winter time and you get a half-inch of snow on the ground, they go out and they salt the shit out of everything, and it'll eat your car up or your truck up in no time at all. I had a 2007 Dodge that came from down south. One winter up here, my wheel wells were rusted out, or starting to rust out pretty bad. So anyway, like I said, this truck was not running when I got it. Putting the battery in didn't change anything. It just cranked over and cranked over. So I went to the next thing, which was spark. I had spark, pulled a couple plugs. They came out pretty good. Spark tested them. Next thing after that was to test if I was getting the fuel. The way you do that on these, I've never worked on a 351 Windsor before. I've always usually only worked on Chevys, or if it was a Ford, it was a diesel. Go down, pick up a fuel injection pressure tester. You have this little end here that screws on just like your, well, it has the same kind of connection as what it does for your tire pressure checker. And that screws on to that little piece right there on your fuel rail. When you put that on there and you turn your key on, you should have 40 pounds of pressure on that fuel rail. So I did that, nothing happened. So I came back over here, took this all apart off of here, which is only 2 screws. This here, you have a little notch in there. You push up with the screwdriver, this pops off, you pull this off. You unplug the plug from the back of this switch. That's your fuel tank selector switch. Then you run a wire from that plug over to the hot wire on your battery over there. And as soon as that connection touches, your fuel pump should engage, and you should have 40 pounds. Since I didn't, then I tested the wire along the bottom of the frame, or inside the frame rail, all the way back to the tanks, and found that I had power at both, but my back fuel tank, my fuel pump was not working. My front fuel pump was working, but not the sending unit. So I dropped the back fuel tank, replaced the fuel pump and the sending unit. After I did that, came back up here, did the same thing with the wire again, with the pressure gauge, had 40 pounds. After that, put my dash back together, and then it fired right up. And it does run fairly smooth. So when I first turn the key on, that little noise, that's the fuel pump. That'll only run for about 2-3 seconds. So that was all there was to that. And when I say that's all there was to that, it took a few days to get parts. It took me a while to drop the tanks, just because I had never done them on this style vehicle before. But there is plenty of YouTube videos out there showing you how to do that. It's just time consuming and can be a pain in the ass depending on what kind of shape your bolts and that are in. I was fairly lucky because it's pretty clean underneath there besides some surface rust. So then before that I had done the fuel filters. There's a fuel pressure regulator valve back there. That's about 30 bucks. So those are the kinds of common first things you want to look for, is simple stuff like that that's cheap. Replace that along with the spark plugs, do an oil change on it, and now we have a running driving truck. It does need a new front tire on it. On this side it was flat and it was sitting for a couple years. So I don't know if you can see it right here. It's got dry rot. That's where the rim was sitting on. That's the part of the tire that was sitting between the ground and the rim when it was flat. Other than that, the tires are in good shape, besides just that one. This side of the body is in pretty decent shape. Again, I'm talking for Wisconsin. Rust hole here. There's a dent right on top of the tailgate, right about there. The inside of the box is surface rust underneath the snow also. It's pretty solid throughout. Somebody loaded something at some point and it slid forward and hit the back of the box. And then a little faded paint on the hood on that side there. But all in all, it's in, like I said, pretty decent shape. It was cheap enough that it was worth to go and get just to tinker with, because I had never done one before. A couple small cracks on the dash. One tear in the seat over there. Other than needing a good cleaning, I think it's a pretty good baseline to start on a truck. And again, it's not a 50, 60, 70-year-old truck, but they're still going to have value. So that is pretty much all for this one. Just going to get it washed up, put it up for sale. So thank you very much for watching.